don't know me, I'm your, oh, good. I'm, now that Johnny's here, we can start the meeting. So welcome to our February meeting here at Fanshawe. This is our stopgap location, our hiatus from BCOC, just for this 1 month. So welcome. It's where I work. I know some of you, it's been a long time since some of you have been here. You didn't even know there was an M building. We got an M, we got a Z also. We got tons of stuff. Yeah. No. Only Z. Welcome again. My name's Frank. I know we've got some new faces. We'll see about some introductions here after we go through a little bit of housekeeping. So we're collecting dues. If you've got the email from us, it's $30 for the year, or 10 if you're just going to Zoom in. We don't have any of our Zoom members joining. You can pay cash. Our treasurer for tonight is Vanna, aka Sandy, aka Jeff. Or you can do an e-transfer. It was in the email. If you need the address again, we can give you the address for that for an e-transfer.
Everybody's already done e-transfer.
Yes, and thank you for those that have done it. Yeah, it's working great. So we want to keep that going. Just in order to keep our club list up to date, like we said in the email, if we're not paid by next month, we'll just start removing members from the membership roster, and we can always get them to rejoin later. This just keeps us from emailing those who no longer wish to be emailed or are partaking in the hobby. So before anything else, I'm just going to start with Bill. I'll let Bill chat about the Southwestern Ontario Model Expo. So just a few updates.
For those who already know, a few faces I don't recall. My name is Bill Dawson. I'm the chairman for the upcoming model show this September. The Southwestern Ontario Model Expo. We have been having meetings regularly. We've come down. One of the key things we were looking at was where we were going to have it. The City of London has historically uncommitted to the IPMS London Club and has not, well, anyways, we've had issues with our rentals not getting bumped, and currently right now with the current, they are not taking bookings for any events after April 1st until April 1st. So as a group, we've decided to have our event here. And I think it'll be a lot better in terms of access from out-of-town people to the 401. We've got parking, food. We've got a huge gym that will be more than ideal for what we're looking for. So the one thing that we are looking for, though, that we really need to deal with is a vendor lead. So if somebody's looking to, I'm going to keep it on life support. So somebody wants to step up and be adventurous. It's you are not going to be an orphan in this position. You will get lots of support. The idea is just for that person to be the lead. They will make their normal phone calls and that, but they're to accumulate the information that the rest of the club brings in. That's the ideal for that position. They'll make the phone calls, and when it's all said and done, they'll send out, their work really will start after the fact. When the show's done, they'll be sending out thank you letters and whatnot. So if you're going to a show, let us know. We'll have flyers for you to hand out to vendors at other shows. That would be very helpful. And on those, that'll have contact information, and they'll be able to contact. We have an email set up for vendors. That's easy for them to get a hold of, and they can let us know. And then we can get back to them with the funding, or sorry, the cost. I think we're looking at $50 a table. With we're going to sweeten that if they get more than prevents people from getting too many tables, and it leaves it open for others. So other than that, I think that's about all I can bring up to you right now. We have sufficient funds to cover the deposit for the gym and possibly the whole amount, but we're looking at as funds come in.
Yeah, I'll mention that. So when we were looking for a location, I suggested, there's a gym here. It's called the C1052 gym. So this is a photograph of it. I think I sent it to you, Stuart. It's how many square feet is it again? I think it's somewhere in the area of 14,000 square foot. So we can rent the gym located there for the show. We have what we call the President's Breakfast every August, and it seats 1,000 people for breakfast. So it's enough room for our show when we capped out at about 500-600 at the last one.
That back door, there's lots of access for people to offload.
Yeah, so the back door, there's a garage door at the back end. So for vendors, we can get them shipped in, shipped out. There's a main point of entry on one corner. It's handicap accessible. There's 600-700 parking spots immediately around. And so we're just trying to get a price. The college has a specific rental fee. I get a discount because I work here. They take 10% off. But the big thing for us is I want to ensure we get some food, because the best way to keep people from leaving is by feeding them. So I'm trying to we're working through catering services to see if they can provide either a burger joint, stuff like that, or we can allow a couple of food trucks to park. I don't know what kind of partnerships the college has. So we're just looking at that. There's Stuart showing you that's the layout for our breakfast with the big stage.
Tables are blocked. I can do the breakfast, but those tables are really close. It kind of shows you the way we do our table. It's much more.
And it might actually work out to be cheaper than renting the hall, and they'll guarantee. Plus, the building belongs to my school, so we kind of have control over who books it or not, which kind of helps us out. So that's what we're exploring. We'll get some costs for that shortly thereafter. So that's one of the big things. So yeah, vendor chair. We're still hoping, if anyone's interested in stepping up to be our vendor support, that would be great to help us out. I'm doing sponsorships, so I'm going to be emailing all our former sponsors. I've got a couple of new sponsors coming up, but I'll send an email out to the membership to say, if you've got any sponsor ideas, anyone you think that would like to sponsor, give me a shout. Like I just talked to Talbot, and I'm looking at a sponsorship for T-shirts for all the volunteers. And we've talked about all the plaques and awards will be done at a discount. Or gift in kind. And the cool part is the guy from Talbot owns you guys, anyone read the coffee news that you see at Tim Hortons? Those little one-page so he owns that. So he's also throwing in a month advertisement prior to the show for free. So we get a little bit more exposure. So these things are progressing, but I'll send it out to the membership. Just if anyone's got, a sponsorship suggestion, if your buddy owns a bowling alley, and wants to throw a few bucks our way for a category, we're looking at that. We've already talked to a couple other IPMS clubs. Ottawa's going to co-sponsor. We're going to do some sponsoring across the board and stuff like that. So we got that going.
109 by roughly 29, 14,000.
So yeah. And we can set up beforehand. Acoustics are good, and I'm going to work out some deals. Like I'll probably get the drone program to do a drone demo, talking about that. Plus, we'll get them to film the whole event with a drone flying through the building, which will make a nice little sell feature for us. But we'll work out a few things. Norton School, what's that? Until it crashes on. Yeah.
Adam, you're not allowed to shoot the drone down. Wow, why do I even come? I'm just getting ahead of that one right there.
Because you're our DJ, that's why.
You are just Adam is the voice of the show.
I don't know if you've done your list of mentions, but we're also able for the Air, Navy, and Army cadets to attend, and we're all impressed with what was many cadets on in last fall. We're pretty impressed with the engagement that the cadets had. So So we've contacted them. Bill or Greg Bernard obviously is for their cadets. I've sent a note off to Navy and or Army, and so we're just waiting for a contact for Navy, and then hopefully we'll have all 3 branches attending.
Nice.
Yeah.
You talk about contacting the scouts.
Are there still scouts?
There are actually.
There are still scouts. I don't know if they still have a modeling guy.
I think that's a good idea. No, we hadn't tried. I hadn't thought of it.
I know they're still doing slot races because I've seen a couple of my buddies have been working, like, I said, yeah, building a slot race. Yeah.
If anyone has a connection or a contact with the Scouts organization, I'll contact you.
Mine's 20 years old, so 20 years ago, the Scouts.
That's fine. I'll look into it.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. And I'll reach out to them. My dad was big with the Legion and he's got connections, so I'll reach out to. There's kits for vets there. I know out west it's a big thing, but yeah. And I'm friends with Model Club in the UK, and that's what they're doing right now is a big tie-in with kids and vets to get raise money for model kits for mostly for veterans, but also for youth engagement, right? So they've got 5,000 pounds raised so far, which is pretty good. Yeah. This is the same group, if anyone saw them on the internet. They built an aircraft carrier in a day. Like 7 of them took a 1-350 kit, and in the 24 hours, each one with their task, they threw an aircraft carrier with a full flight deck together in a day. And it was it was impressive. And I've watched 24-hour builds. He's participated in one. I don't know who else has. Bill, you have, right? Yeah. Yeah, I do the blitz builds with Ottawa all the time, and it's a pretty intense. So that's pretty cool. So that's that for that. Some executive business. We are in search of a treasurer. So if anyone would be interested in being the IPMS treasurer, Jerry's got everything. He's not here tonight. Everything's in order. But if anyone would be interested in helping us out with being the club treasurer, please feel free to let us know if you're interested now or during the break, and we can always have an election and get that rolling, because Jerry doesn't want to do it anymore. Don't. Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. So that's that for the club. The 1-year build, I know Jeff sent out a list. I think we're at over 20.
So far, we're about 25.
25 for,
Which is massive.
yeah. So it's going to be great to see the 3 kits in January that are done. Yeah. So the 1-year build, we selected, like you select a model that you want to build, and you basically have all year to build it. And then come the January meeting, everyone shows their build, and then we randomly select someone who won. It's very democratic. We just
And the contest is based on the recognition that all of us are procrastinators, and none of us have commission paper. So that's the whole thing. I have my name on the trophy. The trophy is here.
Yeah, but that's because you use
Yeah.
24-hour bill.
it's so the trophy. It's the Walter P. Warren Memorial Challenge Award for Best Year Build. So we got to add a few more names. Yes, Dave won in 2019. And then COVID kicked in. So, but this is, I got to get it engraved, which we'll take care of. So if you're interested, it's never too late. If you want to throw your name in, just let Jeff know through, you can let him know through the IPMS page or now.
High-tech method of keeping track of what everybody
That's Price Waterhouse.
No, it's pencil. It's changed already twice. Yeah, I got.
So that's the 1-year build. Now, I threw in a suggestion and see if the membership's open to this. Is like you all know, we like a lot of, I know Dave does, I do, a few others. The Moosery Cup is another example where we have these group builds. So I was thinking for the club, why not have our own little group build, something short term with a prize at the end. The members show can vote. Like I was telling Stuart, the club's got some money, like a $25, $30 gift certificate at Broughdale for whoever wins. But we just come up with either a theme or an idea. and take 2-3 months, like say the summer, and have a little something to work on with a deadline we could face. So, I mean, we talked about that 24-hour build that some of us are blitz builds. The IPMS Ottawa does that every Thanksgiving and every Easter, where we build over the weekend. You may have heard Stuart mention it. I'm part of what's called, and so is Dave, an ATST group build, where you got 2 months to take a Star Wars walker and make it anything but Star Wars. So, yeah, we're kind of driving the rivet counters nuts, and we'll be called wearaboos and whatnot. But I've seen guys use the Centurion AA to redo the turret. I got one guy doing an Orc one from Warhammer from 40K. I got an idea what Dave's doing, and it's going to definitely be original. I'm creating what I call a technical, thanks to Ron for some extra supplies on that. And one guy's making a support AT. I have no clue, but he was a Marine, so it could be anything. So lots of stuff like that. So just toss it around if we want to do this. I think in the March meeting, we can kind of go forward with some suggestions, think about it, but basically, until the end of the summer sort of thing for the August meeting, and have a group build, and we can have a little to do for us before our big show of shows. The other thing we were looking at was suggestions for demos. I posted that. I pinned it on our page. I know Ron, when it's warmer out, will come and do a bit more of a 3D print demo. He had done one prior to COVID, I think it was it, or early during? It was a while ago. So Ron's volunteered to come do it again. I know we want to pester the Velvet Fog to come do another one, because George does some impressive work, and his modulation and black basing, which he may have borrowed from some pretty awesome armor guys, seems to have worked. So I know it is sad. It is sad. And I know there was one other one someone had mentioned. I just don't recall. It's on the site. So if there's something that you'd like to see, if there's a technique, that you'd like to get demonstrated, by all means, let the executive know, post it, and we'll see what we can do. Like I said, Ron definitely will be up when it's warmer, which could be tomorrow, but probably about March, April, we're going to see if we can get Ron to do that. And speaking of March, April, for right now, we're here tonight. The March meeting will be back at Beacock, just not on the Wednesday. I think it's going to be the Tuesday instead, because they booked us on the Wednesday. They booked someone else. So long story, the library forgot to renew us, which is why we didn't have the room in January this month, or off by a day. We're booked there. We have contracts signed for the rest of the year, if that's where we want to go. Because some members have brought forward suggestions of other locations, perhaps more centrally or westerly located, for the club to have their meets at. The Cherry Hill Mall was a suggestion. There was another one near Argyle. Wasn't there someone else? Adelaide, that's it. Yeah. So, yeah. So, that's a question to the membership. Is that something the group is interested in? Were you happy with Beacock? I mean, we're kind of back to normal after this month, but if Beacock, I mean, it's sometimes on the small side when everyone shows up for pizza, but it's worked so far. But if the membership seems to deem that they'd prefer to not travel across town, that's for you to decide. Yeah.
Like this, can we make this permanent?
It's not difficult. Like for me, it's like like I said, we get this at a discount. I could probably arrange it if we had to be in the same spot. There's other rooms, like if you look, I don't know if there's students there yet, but the room next door, it's got the tables actually, what they call them, puddles, which I thought was cuddles. I thought that was cute, but the tables are arranged in little like circles. They're called puddles. But we can take a look. This room is would suit us. If we can go bigger or smaller too, if we need to, but the college is an open option. I mean, that's really, it's just a bit more, not farther east, but it's a little more expensive. Even with my discount, it's about $15 more a month, roughly, I think.
It's not affordable. It's not, don't get me wrong. That's another factor. It's bigger though. Right? There's more facility. The nice thing about tonight is it gives us an opportunity to sort of assess comparison
Parking's free, buses come here.
We'll find out if the parking's free after we leave. Francis, thank you. Don't worry.
Their only issue is the parking for this building, handicap parking is right in the middle of the block. Now that you know where the entrance is, you didn't have any trouble getting in though? No, just you had to go around the radio station. Yeah. Yeah, because where they park is the door that you have to go around the radio station. If they went through the front, which is where the handicap parking should be, it'd be a lot easier. But I don't think you had, well, that would just make sense.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing, like
Yeah.
Catholic.
I don't know. Me? Me? Yeah, they don't listen to us. We're the little people. So anyway, this is an option, yeah.
I don't think I've ever met you. I knew all this kids, so, talking with you, I'm happy here as well.
Yeah.
And so you do some in the Y building as well, with all the aircraft, the maintenance facility at the airport.
Yeah.
Take a tour of all the airplanes and all that some evening.
Yep.
100 seat classrooms over there.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the nice thing. The college has got plenty of large facilities. It's easier for us as faculty to book it. I in the past booked rooms for free, but apparently I got my wrist slapped for that. So I didn't know we had to pay. But that's the Dutch in me. I just didn't want to pay for anything. So anyway, just food for thought. We're scheduled. We're like next month. It's Peacock. It's just on the Tuesday instead of the Wednesday. And then after that, like the contracts are signed, we can cancel at any time. There's no issue. But we're signed up for our regular Wednesday meetings at Peacock. Thank you, Mike. The lighting, you're right. It's nice and bright in here. We can vary the rooms if we need to for our needs, right? If we see more members, we can go bigger, like we can go smaller, whatever. We can go for different floors. It's just a matter of me making those. And they're still relatively affordable that I don't see our dues really changing, even with the change in location. No. So really, we could table that and just come up for a vote next. But I mean, if there's a location, I don't have a problem checking out Cherry Hill Mall at some point in time, or if anyone's nearby, because I don't know who suggested it, but
A lot of our members are from the northwest portion. That's, I think, some of the comments were it's hard to get here.
Yeah.
Fewer or less are retired. Great.
Yeah.
But it can be a problem. You work with what-
anyway, we're the executive. We just help run it, but you're the membership. So let us know. We'll keep it the way it is for now. I mean, if there's a move that people like this, we can swap to this location very easily. If we want to explore going out west, we can go take a look. It's not an issue. We could book a place and do a dry run like this, like, maybe for the April meeting, if that's what comes through in March. Yeah, we can look at it then. So just keep that for thought.
The general consensus is this place is great. We want to try to come back. So we'll keep this as an agenda item for the next couple of weeks until we, as a group, settle on where.
Coming from the west side, it only took 15 and a half minutes.
Yeah. I'm really the west end, like,
Yeah, well, I am still within the city limits.
I think I saw Adam, your hand was up. Where at Cherry Hill Mall? Apparently there's a library branch at Cherry Hill Mall.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about. It is small.
Very
Dark.
easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Small.
It smells bad.
Yeah, like, the aesthetic here is nice. It's nice, big and clean. Like I said, lots of parking. But we're only limiting to the spots. If someone else has another idea, just let us know and we'll explore it. So we'll table that. I think it's a great idea. So that's that. And again, suggestions for demos. And
I think one of the suggestions was for George Ray to do a demo about canopy masks.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what it was.
General aircraft masking and canopy.
Now, but George's masking is pretty much insufferable, so you probably should tell us how you do it.
I did a windshield once. That's it. So props to you. That would be great. George, is that something you'd be willing to do? Okay. Did you? Okay. Really?
We can have the two of you do it and have like a contest and then bring both to the budget.
Yeah, like dueling banjos. That's great. So there we go. We'll see what else we can get. So yeah, that's it for our club business. I think the next part will be our builds. And unlike Stuart, I can't walk up to aircraft and say, oh, who built the Hawker Tempest? Is that a Tempest right there? Am I close enough? Okay, could be Typhoon. Could be Typhoon. I don't know. The larger airplane with the Kiwi. It's another one. So is this yours, Mike? So tell us about your build, Mike.
Okay. I'm gonna chew your ears off for a few minutes, guys and ladies. My apologies. Starting off with the Hawker handover. A few years ago, after posting one of my white top British transports, a fellow sent me a note saying, I have a 1/72nd scale handover. Would you be interested for just a charge of postage? And did they be long to reply? Yeah, sure. Sent my address and exchanged funds, and a few weeks later, this appeared in the mailbox. And like a lot of us, I ripped it open. I went, ooh, no wonder he doesn't want it. I tucked it away, as I said, for a few years, and it was always gnawing in the back of my head. What am I going to do with that? And then I dug it out, exchanged a few notes with some guys in New Zealand, and they put me in touch with a decal guy down there, and he printed up the decals. And the build was one hurdle after another. Starting at the tail, the molds are different heights of the tail, and that is one thing I did not want to correct. I have the angle of the tailplane just about right, but they're at slightly different heights. The exhaust for the engines were not there. They were just lumps. So with milli putty and some tubing, I spent an evening sanding and carving and put some tubing in there, and they look respectable. The engine nacelles, and that was another area that I did not correct. They are supposed to be flat, so the thrust line is about 3 millimeters lower than what it should be, which makes it look like the prop blade's going to hit the ground as soon as it starts rotating. Staying with the fuselage, the left side of the fuselage was 4 millimeters shorter. And from what I remember, the look of the backing sheet, it looks like it was torn off or lifted off the mold before it had a chance to set, and it was twisted. And I don't have the pictures, but a head-on view shows that the right side of the canopy is shifted way up, and the whole front nose of the aircraft was shifted up. And again, that's not something I wanted to fix, and that's the reason I went to the flat camouflage scheme, knowing that would have hidden some of those effects. And then somebody sent me a nice pictures and line drawings of the handover, and I got the idea to put it in somewhat of the annealing process, as if it was either going to get ready to load or unload cargo. And there's two cases in that build where at least one of my mental health problems came to the fore. When doing the research for the colors, the light green, I did not completely read the directions. It was one of those deals where you're going down a list and it's like one line of, it's two colors, but one line. Got to that particular green and there's the two colors. I thought, oh, cool. Just wrote those down. Didn't read the line below it, which was the third color. So that light green is not the correct color, but the kit wasn't good enough to worry about remasking and repainting it. So there you go. And that's a lack of, not a lack of, but it breaks in concentration. And then the Royal Air Force New Zealand markings, I mocked those up. You look at the left-hand side, you count back 3 windows and go, oh, that's where the decal starts and goes. Turn them all around, count from the left inside 3 windows, put the decal down, bugger off for the evening, come back the next day, look at it and go, how the hell did I do that? So that's some of the problems that I experience, and using the mind in this hobby is a good exercise. So I don't let it bother me. I just keep on going and say, excuse me, shit happens. Right? And the two little Hawkers, You have seen the Typhoon before, but I brought it in as a nice size comparison between, against the Hurricane. 2,000 plus horsepower in the Typhoon, maybe 1,000 horsepower in the Mark I Hurricane. And I saw him walk in. Ben is the voice from the heavens. That's from you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And that's also my first real attempt at using George's masking, camouflage masking technique. And all in all, it turned out quite well. Out of the box, Airfix kit, mostly built when I purchased it off of Ben. But a nice exercise. And then to toot one's horn, the calendar, which obviously if you're sitting down, you can't see it. Late last summer, one of the groups I'm a member of sent out a note asking if I had any problems, if he would use some of my builds to put a calendar together. And as you guys mentioned earlier, for models for heroes. And I said, go for it. Well, I guess it was early January, the calendar came in the mail. And I went, oh, cool. And flipped through it. And my work appears in that calendar 3 times. And the proceeds for the sale have gone to Models for Heroes. And unfortunately, he never did reply to how many he sold, but I understand the print run was 2,000, which I think is pretty good for a nice little club to do. Getting close to all that?
That's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
For the record, I forgot the name of the first monster plane.
Andover.
Andover. Trying to keep a record, what's on the table. So, for each of you.
We'll go, let's go this way. So it's easy for me. I built the next two next to the Andover. So the first one is a Krupp Protes, which is their 4x6 vehicle. So that's the little 1-ton mule that was used for everything. This is basically a tow for the 37 millimeter anti-tank gun. So nice kit. I'm a tank guy. I don't do interiors a lot yet, I guess. This came out well. My favorite part, and apparently George's, was I tried something new on the seats to try to make them look as worn leather as I could, and the effect came out pretty good. So I was pretty happy. So great little Tamiya kit. It's like a weekend build. Just took a little longer to paint, but just lots of fun, no issues. Unless you're ham-fisted like me and you break the rear view mirrors off like 73 times. So I don't know how car guys do it, but it drove me nuts. So that's the Protes. Just a beautiful little kit. Threw in some extras from the bin, so give it that loved-in look. And it was the first time I've ever, well, it's the second time I masked. I have a blend. What is it I'm building at home? What's that airplane? The Beaufighter. I have a Beaufighter I masked. Haven't seen how that turned out yet. So this is my first time I've masked and it actually worked, which is my windshield wipers. So I was pretty happy with that. And then next to that is a diorama. And this is great because I did a SIG, which is the German 33 150 centimeter gun that's on top of the Panzer I. So it's people call it a Bison. It's not really a Bison. It's the SIG 33 Scheldspeerstahl auf Panzerfahrzeug 1B, blah, blah, typical German. But it's basically the 150 infantry gun on the back of the tank. And it's actually a Ron Tucker special. He printed it off, said, I don't want to do this. So gave it to me. It looked like 4 pieces of cheese when he gave it. Came out beautifully for 1/72 scale. And Ron, meanwhile, I'll speak for Ron. Ron, if you've been watching, did a 1/72 KV2. He 3D printed it and went through about 600 iterations of fenders before he got it right, like what he wanted to see. But he was done and I was done. And then he posts on, I go, hey, Frank. And he found a picture of the SIG driving past a blown out KV2. So he's like, well, it's 3 days to the club meeting. I'm going to make a base for us. So he did. And I meant to get the picture. You probably could see it on, we'll see if we can find it on the IPMS site, but there's a photo basically of a SIG driving it. So that's the Frank and Ron, or Ron and Frank special.
Kevin wants to know what scale your props in some kind of gun.
Oh, they're 1/35 scale. Yeah, 135. So yeah, it's a great kit. And then Ron, anything you want to add, like your Tinker toy?
Yeah, the KB2, it started out 3D printed, the hull and the turret, and then the fenders and toolboxes and everything were really out of scale. So I made new fenders, and then I found a bunch of STL files to print for a 1/10 scale RC tank. And there's like hundreds of really, really detailed parts that this guy has the files for. So I simply took them and scaled them down. Some of them I had to beef up, like adding material to them to make them handleable because it was just too thin. And printed like toolboxes, shackles, a new hatch. I opened up the hatch top and put the hatch in. Oh, just a whole bunch of stuff on there that's extra parts that weren't on the original 3D print file. And then the diorama is just a picture frame with some foam stuck on there, and various, and kitty litter for the main gravel, and tile mortar for the light colored gravel. Yeah, unused kitty litter, by the way. Yeah, yeah. The brown stuff is dirt from the backyard, not from a cat. And that's that. But I don't know if there's Stuart can bring up the picture that inspired it. It's on one of my posts on IPMS. It should be, yeah.
Go on to the 262.
That is Tania's 262. I started that model a long time ago. It's one of my shelf of dooms that I rescued. I shortened the undercarriage on the kit. Tania molds the gear legs longer as if the airplane's empty. So I wanted to give it more of a squat appearance. So I took 1/8 of an inch out of each of the gear legs, which was a bit of a challenge. And anyway, it's KG-54 was a bomber unit, and near the end of the war, they started converting into fighters, and they started equipping with 262s. And I was intrigued by the scheme for many number of reasons, least of which was the blue and white checkerboard Reich Defense bands. That was their unit designation, their colors, and the only airplane that ever carried it. So it was an incentive to do this. I painted all the markings on, except for the Hakenkreuz on the tail, the numbers, and the squadron insignia. But to me, this kit is very nice. I think the only thing I added to it was a seat from Ultracast. I even used kit wheels in it, and an Ushi thread for the antenna. Other than that, very nice model. Oh, I made the pitot tube from brass tubing.
All right, next. It's the wheel, which will have a story.
Introduce yourself.
And yeah, introduce yourself because you're new to us.
Hi, everyone. I'm John. First time here. Thanks to Jeff for taking some pity on me for my project. I haven't been a modeler since I was Brenson's age, right? Goes way back. So back a few years ago, my brother was cleaning out his house and wanted to move. And I found this box in his basement. It was covered with black mold and stuff. And on the front was a picture of a Mercedes, 1935. And I said, this is a model, right? Yeah. What are you doing with it? Nothing. Okay, well, I'd give it a new home. I brought it home, cleaned off the black mold. Luckily, a lot of the parts were in plastic bags. The instructions, however, were not. And you can imagine what kind of shape the instructions were in. So they were fused together. I could not get them apart. I thought, no problem, go online. And I did actually find instructions. I brought them in, and if anybody would like to have, you can have a look if you like. The reason that you might want to have a look is because this particular kit has got 2,385 parts. And every part has a part number. But on the ScaleMates thing that I downloaded, all of the numbers I have to read with a magnifying glass, and even then I'm not quite sure. And it's not because the numbers aren't big enough, it's because they're blurry. And the lines that go from the part numbers to the respective parts of the exploded view, those lines, that's actually a really good shot there, but some of the pages have lines which just magically disappear and you don't know. You've got to really do a lot of guesswork. So anyway, I started this thing finally last week or week before. I thought, well, it's been sitting in my basement now for a while. I better get at it. Whew. I've got about 50 hours in it so far. So there's an exploded view of the engine. Yes, there are working pistons. You have to assemble the crank. And, and in the top, the head has real springs and rocker arms and a shaft and the whole deal.
What scale?
This is 1/8 or 1 to 8. Yeah.
So at least you think it's a poster kit.
It's a poacher kit. And so who? Okay. Do they? Okay. So I did some sleuthing into poacher, and they had been bought back in the 90s or earlier by Riva Rossi out of Italy. And anyway, both companies went bust back in about 99 or 2000. So my brother would have acquired this thing sometime shortly after that. So it's an old model. The thing is amazingly detailed, and it comes with leatherette, and it comes with brass machine parts and all kinds of stuff. I'm going to pass the wheel. I brought in the wheel just for shits and giggles. Do you want to have a look at the wheel? No, you don't care. You don't care? No. Okay. I'm just going to throw it down this side, and you can roll it back and forth if you like. The wheel is interesting because it takes about an hour and a half to build one. And there were 6 wheels. And I didn't know it. Well, I could have looked at the picture. The kit has actually 2 spares, which made sense for 1935. But this Mercedes, it's interesting. The designer, Poacher, was a jeweler by trade, apparently, and focused amazingly well on some particular parts of the model. There were other parts of the model, though, that they completely dropped the ball on. So I've got to try and be creative in doing this thing. But anyway, this wheel has 76 parts, and the spoke nipples are about as long as a mosquito's testicle. And you've got to be gentle, as you would with a mosquito. Anyway, that's one of the wheels. And there are lots of interesting parts. I am committed to doing this. It's not a 24-hour build, but
Is this what your bill came to be for? Yeah.
what?
Is this going to be the 1-year bill?
I don't think it'd be good enough for anybody, but it's supposed to have working steering, and it does have working suspension. But when they built the model, they didn't figure on having parts that were positive and non-slippable or whatever for the steering. And so when you turn the steering wheel, anyway, I have to get creative with that. But
1-year build doesn't have to be good. It just has to be done.
well, I started this about 2 weeks ago, or whenever it was that I first contacted Jeff. It's a 1935 Mercedes 500K, and apparently there were only 2 of this particular model made. Yeah, right. Anyway, there was only 1 known vehicle in existence. There were 2 that were made, but 1 is in existence. The collector offered the car to Poacher, or somebody Poacher knows, for 2 years to do a complete set of drawings on and make a model, and from that to make a model. So anyway, they've done an amazing job. But it's, you know, it's got working suspension and working headlights and seats. The seats will fold. And the doors are leather. They're going to be leather covered. But anyway, everything is from scratch. So I brought the instructions in just so that somebody can go, I wouldn't have touched these with a 10-foot pole. Well, I did. See, this is the ScaleMates, and whoever uploaded them to ScaleMates didn't, you know, like, good on them for doing what they did, but they could have kind of checked and made sure that. Well, Hornby bought Poacher. Right.
Yeah.
Those guys would no doubt share with you the instructions.
Yeah. And speaking of instructions,
Yeah, and speaking of dog's breakfast to start with, this T30, the CT-133 model, for those of you who were here at the last meeting, this is the next stage in the build of this plane for the Jet Aircraft Museum, which is just across the road, not too far from here. This is one of the two planes. The other plane is not quite as far along as this, the Freedom Fighter, but this is coming along. I'm actually really pleased with for those of you who saw what it looked like at the beginning as a 3D printed model that was sliced into 10 different parts and had to be sectioned and put back together again. And then the wings were 20 scale feet too short. It's come together relatively well. I'm particularly pleased with the look of the faded Dayglow fluorescent paint, because that was a real challenge. It's never going to be a contest winner because, my God, it's just wrong. I mean, so many parts of that plane are wrong, but it looks the part, and it'll hang from a ceiling, and it'll spark conversations for the docents at the museum, and I think they'll be pleased with it. They certainly seem to be pleased. We were talking, Stuart and Terry Measley and I, on the Scale Model podcast, we were talking a bit about it last month or last week or whatever. And I had made the mistake of mentioning that I was thinking of writing an article on it for IPMS Canada. And Steve Sauvé, who's the editor at IPMS Canada, listened to the podcast, sent me an email and said, write the damn article. So I have written the article, and he finished editing it this morning. The only thing that has to happen is I actually have to finish the other plane. So I have a finished picture of both of them for the article. But I know you didn't have to. He heard it from my own lips. So that'll be the second article. I'm really, actually, you know what? I enjoy the writing more than I enjoy the modeling. So that's kind of fun. I mean, at least modeling that beast. But just so you know how bad it is, the exhaust on that plane is not oval. It is round. Now, on that model, it is definitely oval. And if you look at it carefully, it's a bit of a whale around the midsection. Shouldn't be. Should be nice and smooth. Nice, but anyway, it doesn't look too bad. So I'm quite pleased with it.
is the article going to be called How I Fell in Love with Power Tools and Modeling?
Something about air and or. So the other thing we want to do is, apparently they're going to, the aircraft. But I'm going to shame them and say, no, we gotta have.
Yeah. Well, it's about 200 hours, 100 hours so far. But do not.
Yeah, but you're right.
It's your rate.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Next is Johnny.
This is still a work in progress. And I just finished the camel today, this afternoon in 2 hours, just so I can bring something here. So I have to work 2 extra hours to make up time I lost. Anyway, it's a 1/17 Leopard 2A7 made by Men. It's a very high value kit, in my opinion, because I don't know where you can get it and how much it costs here. But where I bought it in China, it's just equivalent to like $10. And it has very good detail for a $10 kit. So anyone who's interested in small scale modern armor, I highly recommend this. Only thing not so good about it is its track. but it's fixable. So yeah, I no, not this one. I think you didn't take picture because I. Yeah. So one thing I learned is if I do another small scale vehicle, I should not glue the wheels onto the hull before I paint it. I should glue the track and wheels together so I can take those off and put those on out while painting. Yeah. The paint I use is from AK Real Color Great Paints. Just you just need to sing them enough. Nothing much to say about it.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks, Johnny. Next couple are from the Blapster.
All right, thank you. So the first one there is the TIE Striker from Star Wars Rogue One. That was my 24-hour build for the 14th annual 24-hour of Daytona build I join every year on Facebook. I kind of cheated again this year. I built the Bandai Star Wars kit because they're pretty straightforward. I got it done in about 12 hours, and then when I got back up on Saturday morning or Sunday morning, I did another maybe hour or so of washes and stuff like that on it. I painted it with Gunzy lacquers. You have, I think it's light ghost gray and dark ghost gray on there. Maybe it's German gray. I can't remember what I chose. And the wash I used, some of the old MIG washes. I've got a dark brown one that I used. And then for the cool shade panels on it, I used Tamiya metallic black. So it looks almost black, but it has a little bit of an extra sheen to it, which I thought would look kind of sharp. So yeah, the guys do this every year. It's a group that started it 14 years ago and sort of made its way onto Facebook. So I participated, and I think the last 4 years now I participated in that. So 3 of those times I built Bandai Star Wars kits. Last year I tried to build the TACOM Macrano plan, but it ended up taking me a week to finish that one. But still, it was a kit in a week, wasn't too bad. Next to that is my Ford 1971 Ford Ranger XLT. There's a group down in Toronto, the Toronto Area Plastic Society. I joined their Zoom meetings. I started joining them during the pandemic, and I go. They have a meeting every Sunday, and they're usually on pretty late on Wednesdays too. So when I leave the Great Butts Zoom meeting, I usually hop over to those guys for an hour or two and hang out with them. So their idea was, let's do a group build. So they were doing the Mobius Ford pickup trucks. That's what this is. It's a pretty horrendous kit. The fit's pretty terrible. The details totally inaccurate. That kind of stuff. The only part that fit good was the windshield, but it was so tight I almost destroyed the model trying to get it in there. I painted it with zero paints, the good old Gulf racing colors that I love so much. And then it's Tamiya LP9 lacquer over top of that. The zero paints color are matte finish. You have to gloss them. So I put about 5 coats of gloss on, left it for a couple of days, put the decals on, left that overnight, and then I put 5 or 6 more coats of gloss on there, and I didn't touch it for probably 10 days. And I came back, I polished it down with the God hand sanding sponges and then the Tamiya compounds, get that nice shine on there. On the side, the lower chrome is bare metal foil, which was kind of fun to use. I haven't used that in years. And everything, all the other chrome stuff on there is painted. I think it's one of those Gunzy super metallic chromes or silvers or something like that I used. So it gave a pretty nice finish. I stripped off all the chrome using I think I used Purple Power or whatever that stuff is, the brake cleaning stuff. So it worked pretty good. The wheels of the tires on that came from, I bought the collection of Vern Harris a while back, and he had bins of tires. So I found some nice slicks in there. And then the wheels I designed in Autodesk Inventor, and I 3D printed on my resin printer. And the same thing with the steering wheel. The steering wheel was really crappy in that kit. So I designed a new steering wheel and 3D printed it. So what else? There's a bit of bare metal foil at the front end of the box on the back. The wood grain decal on the back came in the kit. So that was kind of neat. I thought I'd put it on there. I thought it'd be funny if a racing truck had a wood panel on the back, right? The mirrors have bare metal foil in them. And what else? I guess that's about it. Oh, I also lowered the wheels 5 millimeters all the way around, just cut off the mounting points for the wheels and move them up. So I didn't actually adjust the suspension. It's sort of a cheat in there. The motor's under the hood, but I glued the hood down because the fit was so bad on the hood. It had a really bad warp in it, and it was sticking up about 4 millimeters in the middle. So I just glued the hood down and painted the engine black and stuck it in there. And it turns out when I put the engine in, the engine was touching the inside of the hood, so it wouldn't really fit in there. So I had to basically rip off the air cleaner. So there's no air cleaner now. So I guess that's about it. Yeah. Oh, I did the headlights yellow, like some of the Le Mans cars you would see. So I had a funny little thought in my head to see this in 24 hours Le Mans whipping around the track and see how fast it'll go down the most land straight. Pretty funny, but so that's it.
Thank you, sir. Next, we got the Raptor. I believe that's yours. Introduce yourself since you're new to here.
My name is Branson York. This is my first year and my first day of like the model club, and this was my first model that I did.
That's your first model.
Yes.
That's
So yeah, that was my first model that I attempted to do, and I think it went out fairly good. There was a few. I think I could have done a bit darker on the color of the body, but that was pretty much the best I think I could do until now. Which I think I could do a bit better. My dad helped me out with some of the masking, which I thank him for. My dad probably knows a good amount about it.
So again, my name is Devin York. New to this as well. So his age, I got into modeling. I didn't have the patience back when I was his age, and I used to always wreck them or they just sat on the shelf. So when he got to this age, I figured get him back into modeling and get him interested in it, which got me back into it. And now it's become a bit of a habit for myself. I've always been around airplanes my whole life. I'm a pilot as well. So getting into this with my son and teaching him some patience and getting involved in the club, I thought was a great idea. So here we are.
Problem is, now you got it. No, you don't.
And
No, you don't.
who brought the Thunderbolt in?
Thunderbolt.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yes.
This is Tamiya's 172 Thunderbolt Razorback. Great little kit. Given its scale, the interior was really nice. You could really see a lot in the interior. It was great to paint it and detail it. Unfortunately, the canopy's one piece, so I couldn't pose it open. The decals are from Kit World. They depict a plane from the 405th Fighter Group out of that was primarily supporting Patton's rush across France, doing tactical support and ground attacks. This particular serial number never returned from a mission in 1944. So I'm assuming this was shortly after D-Day, as it has the D-Day stripes under the wings and on the body. The D-Day stripes, I just airbrushed those with masking, used the Kit World decals, and did some pre-shading and post-shading of the olive drab to give it a little bit of wear and tear. Very simple kit, went together great, didn't take very long to do, it was great fun.
Thanks. Next, we got Cam the Man Johansson.
So I got a collection of 7 self-propelled vehicles from the 1943 Russian front period. The 4 German vehicles are 2 Ferdinands and 2 Brumbars. The Ferdinands, one of them was actually built from that ancient box that's sitting there. I think it was late 70s, early 80s. And the price tag is still on the side. It says 99 cents, if only. So yeah, that's the Ferdinand to the front. The one to the rear, I did up as a later war mod Elephant. So it's got the bow machine gun on it. The Ferdinand is not. I use my imagination. I never saw a picture of a Ferdinand with a barn door strapped to the back like the one in front has, but I'm like, hey, what a good idea to have some infantry along for the ride, because that's one of the major problems this vehicle had during the war was lack of infantry support and no machine gun to protect it from local enemy infantry. The both kits went together really well. The more recent kit had the Lincoln length tracks, and the older kit had the rubber band tracks. And quite honestly, I like the rubber band tracks better. I even think they look better on a kit than what the Lincoln length tracks do. The only other ads are, well, the figures I did up from a different collection. I think they're mostly Caesar figures for the Germans. And then the one figure that I did for the one Russian vehicle is I can't remember what the kit, the company name is that did that. Yeah. In any case, and then the Brumbars, they've got crew guys as well. The one to the front of the room without the side skirts is a kit that I actually built when I was a teenager, and I just included it here to repaint it and weather it and make it look better, because the construction of the vehicle itself was fine. And then the one with the side skirts is the new build, and that's an Italiary kit. Both of them are Italiary kits. And they went together really well too. No complaints about them. No real add-ons with either of them, other than I chopped up that side skirt, and then the older one that I built with a teenager still had the side skirts on it, and I just ripped them off altogether. And repainted it. Oh yeah, and I put that camouflage netting that's on the one to the front is actually a piece of scrim that we use at 3M in the manufacture of duct tape. You know how it's got like the cloth backing? Well, that's a piece of that I just cut off a piece that was in the garbage anyway, and then painted it. Yeah, and the barn door on the back of the one Ferdinand, sorry to flip back and forth here, is just a barn door from a 172 scale kit that I had, you know, in the spare parts bin. And then that's an old Eschi figure with the MG42 on the back that I thought would go well with that, and then an ammo box. And then that's a piece, the little ladder going up the back is a piece of chicken wire that I cut out. So it's just like 4 squares of chicken wire, and then bent it up a little bit, stuck it under the box, and then glued the box down and just painted it up. So it's actually a little piece of metal chicken wire to look like a little rope ladder. I like the way it turned out. Looks really nice. Now I did totally mess up all of the road wheels on this. I didn't even pay attention that some had center nubs that stuck out further than others. So they're just completely randomly, some like the wheels are totally messed up. And I realized after I glued them in place, so I'm like, I'm not fixing it now. So, and these are all models that are for my wargaming table, right? So they will be handled and played with, and so I'm not too fussy about super detailing them. But I do like how they turned out. They're quite nice. The other 3 kits are the Russian vehicles, 2 Su-122s and 1 JSU 152 that will be masquerading sometimes as an Su 152. The 2 122s are Eastern Express kits, and they were decent, but they had a heck of a lot of flash, especially the tracks. I had to trim down the little pieces of Lincoln length tracks, which was really tedious. The JSU 152 was a PST kit out of Belarus, and it was a better kit, but still a lot of flash. The Eastern European kits are getting better, but these are older Eastern European kits, and they're not great, but I think that they turned out really nicely. They all have the mandatory unditching log that I got out of the spare parts box. And other than that, they're built fairly straight out of the box. except the tow cables on the back of the JSU 152 I cut out the plastic bits that were part of them and then just added a piece of wire instead so that I could bend them around as I saw fit. And that's it. Yeah.
Thanks, Cam.
Oh, actually, I have one more thing. I have coming up a wargaming weekend in April, the weekend after Easter. I'm going to be putting on wargaming for beginners who are interested in getting into it. So anybody here at the club that would like to come out and do some wargaming in my garage, it's completely free. It's 4 to 6 hours of free entertainment. I provide everything. All you got to do is bring some beverages if that's what you want. And, you know, bring a friend, learn how to play. I teach you right from scratch how to play the whole rules. So hit me up. I've got a Facebook group that if you friend me up on Facebook, I can put you on the Facebook group and you can find out all the details. Okay, great.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's a Heinkel or a Dornier. Dornier, who's that? It's you again.
Thanks. This is a Dornier D17 Z10. It's been modified to be a Z10. From what I read, later in the war, when the Dornier turned out to be not a great medium bomber, they started using them a lot for night fighters. This particular version was a Z10 or Kaz, which apparently translate into screech owl from German, apparently. They replaced the glass nose with a solid nose, packed in 2 cannons, 4 machine guns, and what they referred to as an infrared searchlight. And the idea was this was going to find planes in the dark. The pilot was then asked to fly the airplane and look through a device that was mounted in his windshield, almost like a telescope. You can see it when you go up, sticking out the front of the windshield. And this was supposed to allow him to see what the searchlight was seeing. But the pilot said that by the time the infrared found it, they could see it anyway. So it was not a great design. The kit this is a Revell kit, by the way, in 172. It has a terrific interior, tons and tons of detail in the interior and with all the glass was worthwhile spending time on the interior. The engines were actually fairly detailed. So I took one of the cowlings, which was one piece, and I cut it into pieces to make panels and posed the panels open. I took the engines and I drilled holes in all the cylinders and inserted thin metal wire into each cylinder and then connected those to the exhaust manifold ring, which was positioned behind them. So you can see the engine, you can see the manifolds. The engine actually was just right out of the box other than that. The kit was painted with Tamiya. It started off with black base, which I learned from an awesome armor guy, Mr. Surfacer, I think. But I found out you have to really thin that stuff or it goes down pebbly. So I learned that the hard way. Doing it in a black base, and then I started highlighting the panels with white, gray, and some red and brown, and then started layering on the final color, which was black and whole red mixed together to take away from the black of it. And then I did some oil washes, a little bit of pastels to give it a dirty look around the working areas in the top wing. I added some thin wire as brake lines running from the hubs up the landing gear, and the decals are right out of the kit. Nothing added there. And I think I was pleased with the way the black turned out on it. Just didn't look black. It looked dirty. It looked faded. And I was pleased the way the color turned out.
Not black.
Not black. No, it's not. No.
Right on. Thanks, George. This one first, I think. it's on the sitting next to
Yeah.
it, so we need to pass over.
These are a couple of things that I had on my shelf of doom that I finally finished off. The car is a late 80s Porsche 928 S4 by Italeri, and it went together rather well. I added a few extra details to the engine. I didn't like the wheels and tires that came with it, so I had some wheels and tires that I thought really looked good on that. I think there were Fujimi wheels and tires, I think. So that's all I did. Painted it up with Tamiya, and the interior is just Mr. Surfacer primer gray. And then the airplane is a very old Airfix Canberra bomber. And I love the Mark 17 Canberra, which has that funny warty nose on it. So I chopped off the nose off the front of it, and the nose is a Airwave resin and white metal set. Comes with some white metal scoops, air scoops for the underneath the wings, and some conduit. And then the nose is a resin piece, and then there's a couple of antenna support. Then there's an Aero Club white metal ejection seat in it, which you barely see, but it's there. And then most of the antennas on the surface there, I just had to make myself from reference from pictures, but finally got done. Oh, and the decals, the markings come from again, another old model decal sheet, which has a lot of really neat markings.
And last but not least, look, he's a Godzilla. So. Here you go, Dave. Tell us about your monster.
The kit's from Polar Light. And this movie was, if you all remember the movie, it came out in 1955. The footage was edited with the additional scenes added with actor Raymond Burr in it. And this was the second time they killed him off. It was the first time they killed him. They froze him to death. No, the Godzilla. And in this movie, the scientists made some kind of a thing. They put it in the water, and it took all the oxygen out of the water, and that was it for him. But ever since then, he's been back. He's been killed off many times. It's pathetic. It was fun. It was fun building him. I keep threatening Mary I was going to put it on her nightstand beside the bed.
With glow in the dark eyes.
So he sits over my shoulder in the living room. Every time I look at him, it looks like he's staring at me. Yeah. And I mentioned last month at the meeting that I was told the Creature from the Black Lagoon was going to come on. It hasn't been released yet. So I'm still waiting for that. According to Richard, it will be soon, but don't know exactly. But
I have a call into it's not to arrive.
but it was fun building Godzilla. Because it took me some time to build all or paint all that, but on the ground, the buildings, the train car, the girders from the bridge that he destroyed. And he was fun. I just thought I'd add some color because it's in Tokyo, and I'm not sure about Tokyo color codes for buildings, so I painted this one blue, red, and yellow. So it stands out anyways. He was fun. I'm building on my 1-year build right now. We're working on it. It's the USS Enterprise called the Big E. 19. It was last used in the 60s.
Well, we get to see it. Thanks, Dave. That's great.
So,
So. Oh, yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
I have one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
I have a gently started Rockfield model electric tank, my 1-year build last year. I'm never going to finish it. The first $10 on the barrelhead tank.
Look how fast.
Sale.
Perfect. Any other bids? Any, no?
Delivered.
Thanks everyone for bringing your builds in. And another, I mean, it was a good night. We had a lot more than quite often we do, so that's great to see. We're gonna do the 50-50 draw.
Yeah, and we also are collecting dues. If anybody has
Yeah.
cash and wants to pay.
So dues 50-50 draw. If anyone's got any business they want to bring up before we start, it's now the social hour-ish. Yes, sir.
I have a question. Since I'm just getting back into modeling, I have to use a little bit of glue, actually a lot of it now, for this 35 Mercedes. And it's got a convertible top, which is supposed to operate. Anyway, I've been using crazy glue, which I've developed a bit of a liking for. I don't know how long the stuff lasts. Like that is, I don't know how good the bond will be in the long term. Anyway, I started by using some of the testers plastic glue, and actually the stuff did not seem to work at all on this plastic. Does anybody know why? And is there something better, or is it just the crazy glue that I should stick with?
PA glue is always better. Try it on like
Really bad in shear.
Yeah. All right.
Bad in shear. It won't take any side load. You gotta watch that. It doesn't weld. This kind of glue, well, I don't use it. I really hate it. I find it poorly effective, but I like the, I do, I've never had it work. It won't, it's too hot. But
It's just your
the glue
eloquence.
I have in here is the stuff that I get from rough there. It's plastic weld. It's essentially like the old.
Yeah. Methylene chloride.
Yeah, that's right. And it works by melting the plastic together. But CA won't do that. CA was designed for surgical applications. It's designed to react with things before.
That's what the crazy glue.
Yeah, and it will form a very strong bond, but it doesn't allow it to be used to actually physically connect to each other. So if you side load one, then they're going to come off, or it will just sort of shear part of it off. So testers, you're talking about the little orange tube.
Well, it's red, but that's
Okay, that stuff isn't really very good. It really is. Get some kind of liquid cement, probably gonna be a lot better. I mean, whether it's Tanzania or like Aaron's got the viscous cement, that's probably pretty awesome. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
you can get everything from a fairly
I'm using that.
liquid to a really thin, super thin liquid.
very small. The stuff that I bought at Hobby Center was
Canadian Tire, the Canadian Tire one?
medium.
Oh, okay.
I found non-toxic glue and non-toxic.
Stuart, sorry, Stuart, I'll turn it off.
This bag?
It's like art. I'm gonna count you to make sure you.
When you see what I bring here.
$40 worth of tickets. My name is Dr.
Really sharp. You just go on, either on a 45, you cut it around 45. The reason why you put the mark is that see that it's from motor. That's yeah, exactly. That's all I got. Is there a second and third price? Second and third. I don't know why this one is. I have 5 of these. I like there's not. I took a screenshot of the confirmation. But there are a lot. Oh, I started garage sale that has these things. They repaired them, or they saw them, or they bought them.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Would not be, oh, no. Oh, yeah, but it's definitely not. Other than things that the pilot airplane.